Okay, so last class we were talking about how Ivan Illich kind of sinks into this, you know, sinks into this, what we call the herd mentality. Um, the herd mentality. Uh, um, and how we defined the herd mentality was it's a world where there's not real individuality doesn't exist, real thinking doesn't exist. The individual person simply kind of just looks out at the world and sees what the people he admires or what he thinks are worthy ways of living, and he simply imitates those individuals. So the herd mentality is, like I said before, no real thinking. The herd mentality is basically all about following. Following the them. Who's the them? The people I want to be like. And guess what? Nobody wants to be poor. So the herd mentality is not, well, I can't wait to be homeless and on the street and be a poor person. The herd mentality, the them, tends to be, the people of high society. Wealth. Okay. So let's look at herd mentality as far as like modern day 2020, Loyola Don. Okay. 2020 Donville. All right, what's the herd mentality? Well, it's pretty simple. Kind of goes like this. Okay, I go to Loyola. Why do I go to Loyola? Because I want to get into a good college. Why do I want a good college? Because I want to get a good job. Why do I want a good job? Because I want to make a ton of money. Why do I want to make a ton of money? So I can have a lot of stuff. Why do I want a lot of stuff? Bam. Because that is happiness. Now, we're going to call this, we're going to refer to this as the formula. That's the formula, see? Loyola, good college, great job, ton of money, bunch of stuff. I'm a happy person. Okay, so there's a couple of things about the formula you gotta think about. All right, first of all, does anyone question the formula? Doesn't look like there's a whole lot of questioning. The formula tends not to be questioned. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is we just kind of accept that this is the truth, right? We accept it. We accept this to be true. See, think about what I'm saying here. How many, you guys, most of us are getting plugged into the formula, right? We're just kind of plugged in. And the question is, have you really thought about it? Like, is this really the answer to existence? Is this what it's all about? Is this why you were born, live, and die on planet Earth? Is to be part of the formula? Is that all there is? Is that all there is to existence? Is this the meaning of life itself? Is this the meaning of life itself? Is this the meaning of life itself? Well, although one thing, unless you ask some questions about it, you're never going to know the answer, okay? The formula deserves to be questioned. Deserves to be questioned. All right, let's say, all right, I'm going to ask a question about the formula, okay? I'm going to throw a question out about the formula. Oh, well, first of all, let me just say this. This formula is the formula that Ivan followed, okay? This is the formula of Ivan Illich. This is Ivan's world. Of course, Ivan didn't live in 2020 in Baltimore, so, he doesn't start off here, but that's basically the only difference. He's 1850 in Russian. He's going to some law school. Boom. The rest of the formula is the same. All right. Now, one thing we can ask about the formula, right? In the formula, insofar as that is the formula, okay? Is there ever a moment of passion, okay? Is there ever a moment of passion? All right, what does that mean? Well, it means, is there ever a moment in the formula when something is loved simply because it's lovable? Something is loved because it is lovable. Does that exist in the formula? I don't see it. Okay? There's not in the formula, okay, right here, in the formula, there doesn't seem to be, insofar as we're talking about that, right? There's not ever a kind of moment where the person's simply in the presence of something that they love, that they're passionate about, okay? It's basically a world void of, empty of passion. It's not there. I don't, unless you can show me where it is, I don't see it. Okay. All right, let me tell you something else about the formula. Loyola, good college, job, money, stuff, happiness. See, this is the end game. The end game is you want to be happy. Okay? The whole question is, does all of this produce that? See? That's what it's all for, right? Everybody's looking for happiness, right? Is this the way towards happiness? Now notice that Loyola here, the good college, boom, there, that has to do with the grades. All right? You got to get the good grades to get to the good college, see? Now, I want to introduce a couple words here that you probably heard before to kind of talk about the formula a little bit. And the words are the difference between what's called the extrinsic and the intrinsic. Extrinsic, intrinsic. Extrinsic and intrinsic. Now, hold up, coffee. Now, for our purposes, we're going to be talking about extrinsic and intrinsic, as the extrinsic and intrinsic have to do with what we're going to call acts, certain kinds of acts. Extrinsic acts, intrinsic acts. There's extrinsic acts and there's intrinsic acts, all right? And extrinsic act and intrinsic acts, they have to do with meaning. They both have to do with meaning. They have to do with what is meaningful. All right. Now, let's go ahead and define what we mean by the extrinsic act. Extrinsic act. Now, philosophically, the definition of an extrinsic act is pretty simple. It simply means that the meaning, because we said it's all about meaning, right? In the extrinsic act, the meaning is always outside of the act, okay? All right. That's an extrinsic act, all right? The meaning is always outside of the act. The meaning is always outside of the act. All right. So, let's look at the example of getting grades. Grades always tend to be extrinsic. They have an extrinsic meaning. All right. Now, so what do I mean by that? Okay, so you guys watch this video, you take notes, you study for the notes, you study those for the test, and what? It's all for the grade, okay? So you have the video, you have the notes, okay? You study, why? For the grade. The meaning of video notes, the meaning of all that isn't just to do it because you like to do it. It's not because it's somehow meaningful in itself. The meaning of all that is over here, see? The meaning is outside of the act. Okay, so you have the act, all right? And then you have the meaning. That's called an extrinsic act. All right? Now, let me give you an example of intrinsic act, and you'll see exactly what I'm saying. Now, let's say you and your bros get together and you go out and you play a touch football game. Touch football game, okay? And I come up and I go, why are you guys playing touch football? And you look at me and go, what's wrong with you, Moeller? We're playing touch football because it's fun, okay? It's fun, okay? So touch football is fun. So notice, the meaning of the act of touch football is the act, Okay, that's called an intrinsic act. Okay, an intrinsic act, intrinsic act, intrinsic act. The meaning of the act is in the act. You guys can see that, right? Right. Intrinsic act. Intrinsic act. The meaning of the act is in the act. It's not outside the act. So, if you're playing a touch football game, and I say to you, why are you playing touch football? And you look at me and go, well, Mr. Moeller, the reason we're playing touch football is because we have a big championship game coming up, and we have to practice our plays, and we have to like go over these plays because we want to win this game. Well, see, now the meaning is extrinsic, because the reason you're playing the touch football game is for some other reason, which is this championship game, which is 2 weeks later. See, it's the meaning of the act isn't just the act, but it's for some other reason. See, that's extrinsic. That's extrinsic. All right. Now, some acts are meant to be nothing but intrinsic, and some acts are always to be extrinsic. All right. Now, I'll give you an example. All right, look, and this is what we want to say right here. See? Everything that's going on here, all right? What is it? It's all extrinsic. I do that for that. 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 I do that for this. It's all extrinsic. See, the problem with the formula, gentlemen, is there's nothing intrinsic. The formula, there's nothing intrinsic. There's nothing that you're doing just for the sake of doing it, just because it's lovable. The formula, nothing intrinsic. Nothing done for its own sake. See, this is the reason why this getting good grades is so kind of hateful. Because it's all extrinsic. It's like, you got to study all these notes and do all this stuff to get this grade. And it's like, there's nothing personal in it. It's just all this, like, I got to do this to do it. There's no passion in it. There's nothing of any kind of real value. It's like, oh my God, I can't stand it. Well, yeah, because it's all extrinsic. Because there's no passion. See, there's no passion. So it's hateful. If something is totally void of passion and it's nothing but extrinsic, there can be nothing like heartfelt in it or moving. It can't move the soul. It's robotic. It's dead. All right, before we move on, let me just say a couple more things about intrinsic, extrinsic. All right, so something I was going to say. Now, let's say you're madly in love with some girl, and you guys are having this, what we call the romantic kiss. There's the romantic kiss. Well, here's the idea. The romantic kiss, insofar as it's a romantic kiss, is meant to be nothing but intrinsic all the time, okay? It's intrinsically meaningful. What is the meaning of the kiss? to do the kiss. There is no other meaning. The kissing is the meaning. See? It's intrinsic. Romantic kiss, intrinsic. What's the meaning? The kiss. The meaning is in the act. Okay? Now, if you got some guy who's just trying to, a seducer who's just trying to seduce a woman for sexual reasons, well, now the kiss is just like a way to get her, to get what he wants down the road. So if the guy's a seducer, if he's in an act of seduction, now the romantic kiss isn't intrinsic because he's just faking it. It's a way towards his ultimate end, which is seduction. Okay, so the romantic kiss, which is meant to always be intrinsic, can be made extrinsic. All right, can be made extrinsic. Now, the only reason I brought that up, I'm just trying to get you guys to see the meaning of intrinsic, extrinsic. And the main objective here is this. This formula seems to be extrinsic, okay? There doesn't seem to be any kind of intrinsic moment of passion in it. And the other thing I want to say is this. If you don't have something intrinsic, guess what, bro? You ain't going to get there. It ain't going to happen, okay? This happiness, not produced by the extrinsic. Not produced by the extrinsic. All right, we're going to leave it at that. See you next time. Love you guys.